Oh, hello everybody. This is Claudio here. It's the virtual brown bag, that time of the day, that time of the week when we get together here. As usual, I'll give you a quick intro as to what this thing is all about. That way we also give some folks time to join in. So what these meetings are all about, we get together here and we share tips and tricks. It could be tools, shortcuts, could be articles, books, blog posts, anything that you've been using or reading that you feel like other people could benefit from it. So you are more than welcome to share those things with us here. We share experiences because we are all working, doing a lot of work, at least 40 hours a week, and we are experiencing things and learning things as we go, and a lot of that could be shared with other people. We also share frustrations or difficulties. Sometimes you're just trying to get something done and you cannot figure out what's wrong with the code that you're trying to implement. Maybe somebody else has gone through the same pain, so if you come up with like a repro scenario or just a question here, somebody else may have gone through the same trouble and could help you out. Sometimes we just use this as a live troubleshooting session. You just bring something up and we try to help you out on the go here, and hopefully we can at least point you out in the right direction. It's not supposed to be a one-way type of conversation, the one that you get at user group conferences and things like that. The idea here is somebody starts talking about the topic and everybody else just join in. It's as easy as that. We do this every Thursday from 12 to 1 Central Time, here on live meeting, open, free for everybody, anybody who's willing to share or learn or doing both, which is always better. The more people we get sharing here, the more variety of topics we get, and the more the better in this case. We have covered quite a bit of topics here. Some topics come up most often than others, but we've been all over the place and we'll continue doing so. There is an official virtualbrownbag.com website that you can send that link to people, and hopefully we can again get more and more people over time, more people sharing. It's good. In that website, you're going to also find the wiki where we keep notes and links for the meetings. You're going to also find links to the recording sessions that we get out of this. So if you've missed a meeting or you would like to just review some of what's being covered, you can go back and watch it later. And we are having some problems with the automated process that we had for rendering the video, so sometimes we are running behind a couple of weeks in our backlog, but we are working on addressing that so that we get the recordings out as quickly as possible. The way these meetings here work, somebody like myself or George or JB, whoever's available at the day, will start off the meeting like I'm doing right now, explain what the thing is, the very simple directions that we have for getting this thing going, and from there on it's just a bunch of sharing. Somebody's going to start talking about stuff and we go taking turns from there. If you would like to share something, you can just open up your microphone and say, hey, I have something here that I could share. Or you can just turn our feedback flag on live meeting to yellow. That way we know that you would like to share something if you don't want to interrupt whoever's talking at the time. And we take turns like that. If you would like to ask questions, you can use the Q&A feature in live meeting. Just type out your questions. If you want to send links or stuff like that, that would be fine as well. If you have a microphone, you're more than welcome to just open up your microphone and, ask your question, state your comments, however you would like to do it. If you're promoted to a speaker here through live meeting, you're going to get some features so that you're going to be allowed to share something on your desktop or a program or an area of your desktop. And it's very easy. If you've never done it, just let us know and we can walk you through the process, just pushing 2 buttons and you are there. And if afterwards you have ideas, questions, suggestions, or anything that could help us improve the experience for everybody here on the live meeting, just let us know. Another thing in the Virtual Brown Bag website, there is a Suggest a Topic page that we keep going back and taking a look to see, make sure that we are talking about things that are of interest to people. And over there you can go at the bottom and register something that may not be on the list. It could be something that you would like to talk about because you've experienced that, or that you would like to get somebody else to talk about because you don't have experience with it, but you would like to learn more about it. So you can register your thing here, and people can vote. Like there is here PhoneGap that I'm seeing it's something relatively new on the list. I am going to vote for that because I'm interested in learning about that, and I know nothing about it. Right, so that's how we roll here. So I guess as usual, I'll just go over 2 or 3 things that I have here on my list of topics, and then I'll turn it over. I see that George has his flag set to yellow. So George, you're going to be coming up next, man. Let's see. So this is something I blogged about a couple of days ago. Just like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I'll continue doing some work for EPS or code training, rather, and I'll be doing some training there. One for advanced.NET for FoxPro developers, where it's really not specific to FoxPro and not even necessarily to .NET, but it's what they're calling like the power developer sessions, which is essentially just taking, the guys that are just doing development without taking that extra step of, learning about testing, test-driven development, BDD, and then understanding solid, understanding certain patterns that everybody should know, but not necessarily everybody does. So I'll be doing a day of that. I'll be doing a day and a half of some WPF there. And what's very exciting to me as well is the Ruby on Rails for .NET developer session that I will be doing there. It's going to be a 2-day training, so just getting people started, people who are coming from a .NET background and would like to learn about Rails development. I'll be working on a training course for that, so I'm very excited about it. It's going to be fun, lots of fun. The other thing that came up just this morning, I've blogged about, again, Mercurial, Git, and this funny quote that I got from Twitter, the elephant's graveyard system, that Jack Charlton had tweeted a couple of weeks ago, I think. He says, now have to check my mini project into TFS. All the agility I got from developing it in Git is about to disappear for all feature dev. TFS is like the elephant's graveyard. Projects go there to die. I just thought that was awesome. That was an awesome code I wanted to put there, and also, of course, bring up the video I created about a year and a half ago that also expresses, some of mine and my team's frustrations with what's that?
Great video.
Yeah,
incredibly underappreciated.
Exactly. Like, what's up? That should have gone viral or something. I don't understand. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure to add a link in there because
if it go viral, I use the line all the time, and we joke around here all the time. I'm like, "Good luck with that bird, sucker."
Exactly.
You guys make it go viral.
Exactly. Everybody should know about this. So anyways, because, the reason why we're always insisting on this topic and it's always coming up, it's because it's a major source of friction when it should not be, right? It's just there's no reason for source control to be such a pain in the ass for everybody, right? And when I see like tweets like this, I'm like, okay, we do have lots of like-minded people out there complaining about the same things, and not everybody seems to get a clue about it. Also, just a few days ago, there was this post here, 8 reasons for switching to Git. It's a very short post. You should check out, but the guy's point is something I also brought up a couple of posts ago. You can save time, you can work offline, you can easily undo mistakes, you can sleep easy because your source code is spread across multiple machines, and not just your source code, but also the history of everything. You can make useful commits. It's easier to do so. You can work in your own workflow. You don't need to mix things up depending on how you work with branches and things like that. And you're also going with the flow. Several of the big open source projects, they are all using a system like this. All right, so there's more to it out there. And then I just talk a little bit quickly, something I've expressed here, how I've, do you use Git, do you use Mercurial? We've explained in the past that I started with Mercurial. I tried to use Git for 2 or 3 months. I felt that Mercurial worked best for the way I work, so I went back to Mercurial. So I still use Git when I'm deploying to Heroku. So they just go, they're very similar systems. If you learn one, you're likely to learn the other. It's no big deal. If you want to get started on something, I feel like Mercurial is easier to get started. At least on Windows, it's easy to download. It's just a 23 meg download. You install it, you get PortOSG, and then you start using it. And I mean, this is as hard as it is to get started on it. And to just learn something a little more, you can go into HD Init, the Mercurial tutorial. Pretty cool. All right, so check it out. I mean, just start trying it, even if you don't use it at your company, at your current job, whatever. I mean, you should have a pet project. Come on, right? You should have something that you just do for fun when you're sitting back and trying to figure out some, programming test. Just create a little repository for it. Have it under source control. Use this. And then you see what we are all talking about. And then there's also a post from Jimmy Bogart that caught my attention last week or the week before. Brighter TFS feature. So apparently a guy, project manager for TFS, mentioned that distributed version control systems are in TFS's future, but it's not there. So God knows when that's going to come up. Knowing the time frame that it's always like at least every 2 years that they release Visual Studio, and TFS sometimes it takes even longer. So I don't know when we would be seeing that there. So that's something there for people to read. And then 2 other things. One is I just found on YouTube this channel where this guy's doing a gem a week. Where every week he publishes a quick, under 5 minute video with a gem that he found useful. So that's kind of cool. And finally, yesterday, I had this thing where on this Rails app that I'm working on, I needed to show, the client asked me to show one of those spider graphs. Let me show you what it looks like. One of these guys here. Right, and I, of course, didn't know how to do it, so I did some, a little bit of research to see how I could get that done. I found out about this gruff gem, right, and that one, I mean, it's exactly what I need. And when I saw the source code for it, let's see if I can find it here. This one. All right, so that was the source code. Create me the graph. What's the title? What are the data points? And done. I said, okay, that looks pretty cool, right? So I downloaded the gem, but then I needed to install, RMagic and ImageMagick and some other stuff that I didn't have on my Mac. And now that one caused me trouble because...
Those things are hard to install.
Yeah, those... I spent probably about 2 to 3 hours trying to iron that out. Because when I tried to install RMagic, it complained that I didn't have CofeeScript. And then I tried to install that one, but it was giving me some problems. I don't remember about what. And then I tried to Homebrew install it. I got pretty close, but then I started getting some weird things with Homebrew, and then my machine got all messed up. And eventually I found this one blog post where the only thing missing really was GhostScript, but then I found like something that somebody put out there that you can use to install it on a Mac. Once I got that installed, then man, it just works. It gives me that chart just the way I need it. Right, just like that.
I was creating a picture, and I was like, it's got to be using images underneath Magic, and I saw that you installed, and I was like, yeah, anytime we have someone bringing up a new environment and they need that installed, basically you write off that day. Right. You're going to spend all day getting this thing set up.
Yeah, I mean,
It works, but
right. Yeah, I was even glad. I mean, I was bugging Ben yesterday about it, and he was like, "Well, try this, try that, and try the other." And with my, you know, newbiness here on the Mac, I was just feeling stupid again because I had no idea what some of the messages were really trying to tell me. But then after, some Google searches here and there and some things that Ben told me, look, here's a quick fix, but it should get you through. I mean, within 2 to 3 hours, I had it working, and I said, "Well, this is good enough. This is exactly what I need." And I like this solution because this one is essentially just creating the graph on the server side, creating a PNG file, and just streaming that down to the browser, which means it's just sending an image. There's no black magic as far as like the client side is concerned. Ben had found another one. Let me pull up the link.
We use iCharts.
iCharts?
iCharts, and that works out great. But yeah, but it's
Okay.
JavaScript, so.
Yeah, so this is the one that's Ben showed me, and then this is JavaScript. So I said, well, okay, I'll be fine using it. The only point of contention for me is, okay, there could be some JavaScript things that would not be supported across all clients. I don't know. But anyways, there is a free version where if you use the free version, they say it's gonna show a little their logo here in the graph, or you can get the commercial version, which is like 100 euros. And I'm like, no thanks. I'll try to sort out the installation issues that I was having, and just pretty happy it worked out as advertised. So that was pretty cool. So that's my sharing for the week. So I'll go ahead and make George a presenter. And actually, before I do that, sorry, let me just pull up the Q&A panel. I'm seeing there's some questions there. Also, some people call it radar graph. It may help with your search. Oh, let me search that. Oh, that's cool. That's Scott Hanselman post. That's from Alper. Thank you. Yeah, when essentially my clients sent me like a graph like this, and I didn't know what it was called. So I started doing like some Google searches on that, and finally I found references to spider charts. I said, okay, it looks like a web, because I started looking as like web charts, and then I found it as spider chart. But yeah, this is exactly what I need, and it fits exactly what my client needs. So it's pretty stoked about it. So that's cool, and thanks Alper for that. And Rick says, what is Homebrew? So I'll give it a shot at explaining what it is, and then JD, please, or anybody else jump in and fill me in, because I don't know a whole lot. Apparently, there are certain ways that you can install things on your Mac, and some things can get pretty hard because you have to like pull stuff from one Git hub resource and pull stuff from another one and compile shit and stuff like that. And it can get pretty complicated. So somebody created this Homebrew thing that you install, and then it takes care of installing. From the command line, you just say brew install, and what is the thing that you want to install, and it has formulas that it downloads, which are essentially Ruby scripts that knows what to pull down, what to install, what to compile, and so on and so forth. And then there's a lot of people maintaining those formulas as new versions of the tools come out, new versions of the operating system come out. It's just an open source thing that centralizes this whole how do you install something on your Mac. Now, JB, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. That's a fair assessment. Really, the key is that other people are putting up these formulas, and it's for installing. It's almost like a package management for stuff that isn't gems, for other things that you can install. If you go to the website, it kind of covers it, and so it helps on really complex things to install. But you're also subject to the fact that if a new version comes out and no one's put up a new formula, you're not going to get it. So the second one, not the first one.
And there, yeah. Oh yeah, I went to the GitHub site. There you go. Right. Yeah, so I mean, I started using this one because like it was the one that I've run across when I was trying to get MongoDB running on the Mac, and I found a reference to this. I asked somebody, I think I asked Ben, and he said, "Oh yeah, just go for it. That should be the easiest way to get that installed." And I'm like, I know there's some black voodoo here. I know there's a lot of stuff that I have no idea what's going on, but as long as it gets me going, I'm cool with it, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
And as I learn, it's like, okay, maybe I don't know exactly what the trade-offs are,
Let,
but
let me describe the pain point. The pain point is Homebrew install Mongo. It's great. Everything's fantastic. Then some latest updates and Mongo comes out, and it needs Mongo version X, and there's not a formula for version X. So now you have to install Mongo version X all on your own, and you have this Homebrew install that doesn't use the defaults, it uses its own sort of defaults, and then suddenly you're trying to figure out how to uninstall and set up a new Mongo, and I had that for a day, which is lots of fun. So on the one end, it's nice because you're like, Drew install everything great, and then, but a lot of times it doesn't follow necessarily where the defaults are going to be if you installed it yourself. So sometimes looking up help, like where the config file is or where this data is stored, it might be something different because the formula might have set it up someplace else.
right.
So you see something online that says go to here to see your config file, and you go there and there's nothing, and you're like, well, now what?
Right.
So you just have to be aware of what you're doing with that.
Yeah, I think that's something I've run into yesterday because as here was the thing. There was a problem. I think it was when installing either GhostScript or Image Magic, and
Yeah.
so when I did a Google search on that, then somebody mentioned, oh, it's probably because something related to Lion, right, which is a new operating system for the Mac. And I said, well, okay, that could be my problem. And then somebody had a formula there, and then they said, well, we haven't pushed that into Homebrew, but you can just edit this formula on your local box and get that going. So I tried that, and then I didn't get something else working. So then I tried to do a brew update on something, and then it started telling me, oh, but you've changed this and you've changed that, you're going to have to git merge this or git merge that. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know what I'm doing here. Just, give me something easier.
Yeah.
Eventually, brew upgrade the thing actually worked, but then I got some other weird things where, like, the path was not set to the right stuff, so it was finding trouble installing some of those things. I'm like, I'm just glad that I got the stupid graph working. I'll probably hit more problems later with this, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
With our new magic, my thing is it takes forever and it's hard to get set up. But after you get it set up, I haven't had any problems with it. It just works. And the kids that use it, they work as well.
Oh yeah, no.
But those are types of things like. I don't think you can use that type of stuff with a PC. That's why when we talk about Rails development, why to go to the Mac, it's for stuff like that, because there's not an equivalent. And so that's just huge functionality you just can't do.
I
It has to
see.
do with not having a native C compiler and stuff. This is me being told this stuff. I'm not an expert in the field by any means.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, you're right. I mean, I haven't even tried to get this app back on my PC, because when I tried it a couple of weeks ago, just by switching one thing there, that timer thing, JB, you have helped me putting a gem there to fix a timer deal that we were getting. I mean, from that point on, when I try, anything on my PC for that app, it goes ballistic. It just doesn't work at all. So I just gave up on the PC for that. But yeah, and the R Magic.
The short version of it is like Ruby's really good friends with C, and C is not necessarily really good friends with the PC environment, as much as like the Mac and Linux, where it's like first class citizen essentially.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and you're saying like R Magic, I was surprised how well it worked. Like when I was chatting with Ben yesterday, he said, oh yeah, and you should be able to, if you're deploying it to Heroku, it should just work. And in fact, it just did. I mean, Heroku deploy, and I run the browser, run the app, and it's working. I'm like, holy cow, that was easy. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. We need to learn carrier wave with pictures, because that's actually really cool too. When you have carrier wave, we load up a picture and it's edited in different sizes, and then it's syncing up with S3, and it's all freaking awesome now.
And you know that a couple of months ago we paired up on that, and you were showing me how to get that going. I found the recording here, but the stupid audio cut off like a third of the way into it. I'm like, and I still have it here. I'm gonna try to at least edit, and at least on the parts where like we were doing code or whatever, at least have that show up. That may be, useful to people. And even as I go back to that to review what we've done there, months ago, that should be helpful as well. So that is cool. All right, awesome. So that was it. So hey George, you ready, man? See, your mic's kind of quiet.
Oh, that's because it wasn't near my face.
Ah, cool.
Better?
Awesome,
Cool.
yeah.
So, yeah, let me start by sharing my screen. So I've been driving across country a lot, which means I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, which means I finally heard the phrase CofeeScript enough times that I said, fine, let's check it out.
I've been avoiding it because this huge JavaScript project I'm on, I'm like, as soon as I get more and more I know about it, I know I'm going to love it. I'm going to be like, I want to rewrite the entire app in CofeeScript. It's like, all the time.
So, a couple cool things to that. So, you don't need to do that, but there are some pretty decent converters, which I'll show you. Okay, so first of all, what is CofeeScript? I've talked about JavaScript a lot on here. Basically, there's some stuff about JavaScript that just kind of sucks. Just little syntactical things, little tricks of the language that are just gonna get you, that will get you into trouble if you don't know about them. So, some very smart developers did what developers do best, and built another layer of abstraction. But this is a good one. What CofeeScript is, it's its own little programming language. It's very similar to JavaScript, but removes a lot of the suck from it, and comes with a little compiler, which is actually written in JavaScript, that will just go ahead and take those CofeeScript files and turn them into JavaScript. Hooray! So if you just Google CofeeScript, you head on over to their GitHub page. They've got everything you need to see there, and interestingly enough, they have a little Try CofeeScript button, which will drop down a panel, and you can start typing in there. Hello. All right, and you can see kind of as you're typing live, it's going to be translating your CofeeScript into what the equivalent JavaScript is. So this is a great tool for getting kind of familiar with it. All well and there's a really good documentation actually. All right, all well and good. And by the way, for your Ruby guys, it's very Ruby-ish. It's actually meant to have a Ruby flavor to the syntax, not to be Ruby in the browser. Let's be very clear on that.
It's still Rails 3.1 is the current package of Rails 3.1. So going forward, this is kind of the Rails way of doing JavaScript.
Right. Yeah, so it's not, again, just needs to be emphasized, it is not Ruby, because there are plenty of things that are not Ruby about it. It's still JavaScript, but it is, it does replace the Java syntax with some Ruby-ish syntax, which is much, much nicer. Okay, let's kind of, first of all, I'm still in ASP MVC. How do I get started with CofeeScript? Well, the best way that I found is which is like the standard way of doing it is you install a node or you go through Rails to do that. Well, fortunately, Visual Studio is finally starting to go in a good direction, and which means we can go to Online Gallery, search for CofeeScript, hit enter, make sure that I'm actually selected for Online Gallery. There we go. And it's going to pop up. Now, I've got both of these installed. I just recommend installing this one by Mindscape Web Workbench. And it gives you support for 3 things, actually, of which I've only used CofeeScript so far, but but also it gives you support for Sass, Less, and Less also. Now, Sass is same thing that CofeeScript does for JavaScript, Sass does for CSS, which means it just removes some of the stuff for it. It gives you nested classes and all sorts of good stuff. I'm not exactly sure how Less compares to Sass, because it's a different thing. It's a complementary thing, but it seems to do a lot of the same stuff. So I'm not quite sure. I think it's like a JavaScript converter, something.
Less and Sass essentially are the same thing for everything we've dealt with here.
Okay.
I'm a big Sass person, and Ben was like, well, let's do Less because you hear a lot of Less things. And then after messing with Less for a while, and then Sass is going to be with 3.1, he took a look at Sass and you're like, it's the same thing, which my response was exactly what I was telling you.
Okay, cool. So, so now we've got our empty MVC project, which I probably should have created. I should have created the example one, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and create a controller.
Hey George, while you're creating that, I just seen a question from Alper. Can you debug CofeeScript, and how about testing with JavaScript testing frameworks?
Okay, so debugging. Let me show you first what it looks like. But the short answer is yes, but the line numbers don't match up. The slightly longer answer is everyone seems to be saying that that's not a huge problem. Like you would think it would be a much bigger problem than it actually is, which is cool. That's I'm a little suspicious about it, but I haven't run into too many issues with it. Now, I know also some of the Ruby guys here told me that both WebKit and Mozilla have announced that they're going to be working on making developer tools that can help with debugging CofeeScript, which seems bizarre, but if they can do it, that'll be awesome. I imagine you'd have to go into debug mode and send your CofeeScript files over, and then it would reverse compile stuff and match stuff up that way. I don't know. We're talking about browser plug and voodoo there.
For testing JavaScript stuff, you can run all the frameworks because of JavaScript, from my understanding.
Yeah.
And in particular, Jasmine looks freaking awesome in CofeeScript.
Right.
So I was looking at something. Ben was doing some yesterday because he's preparing for his talk tomorrow, and I was like, man, I want to do that. It looks so good.
Yeah, the testing is not a problem. I mean, CofeeScript is JavaScript. It gets compiled to JavaScript before it gets sent to the client. Actually, there is a thing that you can do where you can just send raw CofeeScript to the client, where you can, instead of putting it in a script. Let me see, where is it? Somewhere here. Yeah, you use a text CofeeScript script tag like that, and then also you just send in over a JavaScript file, which is the CofeeScript compiler, which is written in JavaScript. So it just runs all in browser and checks all these tags, grabs all these tags, and converts them for you. And it's actually not that large, which is wacky. Nobody does it that way. I mean, it's fine for development if we're playing around with it, but you wouldn't actually want to do that. So, welcome. Okay. to my, okay, sorry, live meeting is making things rather slow. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run on this, and I always have problems with Cassini not actually starting in the browser, so I'm probably going to have to start it up manually. Come on. 5511. Oh, there it goes. Cool. So this is going to go ahead and render my page. Any minute now. Come on. Waiting for a local host. Okay, so I guess while it's doing that, I will go ahead and I'll do something to this. So normally we can go ahead and go in the scripts folder. Okay, great, we're already including all this stuff. And I can go ahead and just start adding, oh great, I can't because it's in debug mode. I can stop it anyway and I'll run fine. Okay. So normally I can go in here and start saying, okay, add script file, right? And just add a new JavaScript file and start typing in there. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go in here and create a new CofeeScript. There we go. You create a new CofeeScript file. And whatever you name it is what your JavaScript file is going to be named. It's just going to have the extension of coffee. So it's that's going to be my the name of the file. So I'm going to create that. And unfortunately, wow, this is going really slow here. Okay, so we got welcome to my page. This is it. And so we've got our H2 guy, and what am I going to do? I'm going to now jump. Wow, it just cracked. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to say, well, let's, sorry guys, I'm flipping through the windows. So what I want to do is let's go ahead and change the text on this H2 element and move it downwards on the page somewhat. Okay. So in CofeeScript, let me think. Actually, let's do something a little different. Okay, so I'm going to use jQuery just like I normally would. I'm going to go ahead and say grab the H2 element, and then I'm going to say dot animate. And now what I'm going to normally what you're passing into jQuery. Actually, let me show you the equivalent on here. I believe what I would do would be h2.animate, and then in here I would pass top 100. Let's say top, I would animate top to 100, and I would say do it slowly. And that's not going to work because I believe my CSS needs to be set properly. Needs to have position relative on it. I think that's the case. If I'm wrong, tell me. Yeah, there we go. So once you set position relative on it, and so this is kind of what it's going to have to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and put it here as a comment. Actually, it might be, there we go. It's a comment. And on my page, let me go ahead and set position equals relative on there. Okay. So I have this comment. So how do I write this exact same thing in CofeeScript? Well, I actually could write it exactly the same way, but I could also use the fact that parentheses are optional to say animate, and now CofeeScript has significant white space, so I'm going to say top 100, and then the next thing argument, actually, this is kind of easy, a better way of doing it, and then I'm going to say slow. And now when I save it, it's going to get automatically compiled. And it's actually giving me an error because I need a comma there. I save it, it's going to get compiled, and you can kind of see what's happening here is it creates a nested JavaScript file right underneath there. And you can see what it compiled to. Not only did it create everything like I wanted it to, but also it wrapped everything in a self-executing function, so I'm not sticking anything in the global scope by accident. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, and then the other thing that I want to put in here, let's say when I click on there, I want to go ahead and change that. So let's actually go ahead and store this showing if another thing, h2 equals that. So I'm storing that element. Notice I don't have to use the var keyword anymore. And then I'm going to say h2 on click. I'm going to say this dot inner HTML. So now we're just talking about the DOM equals I'm going to go ahead and save that. So basically what this says is this is calling the click method on H2 and passing in a new anonymous function. And this is kind of how it's going to compile, just like that. So now you don't have to have all these parens or the function keyword. And the only thing is now I have to include the script in here. So it'll be script. Was it Control K X HTML script, and then I'm going to say the source is going to be. The source is going to be. I swear, usually my computer is not this slow. This is only happening when I'm running. Oh, that's weird. It doesn't actually show up in here, so I have to go and change that to that. So now when I reload my page, I believe we should see all that same stuff. Yep, and it's going to do that, and when I click on it, it's going to go ahead and change. Now, that's pretty cool. It took me all of about like 5 minutes to get started with it because this is like a pretty friction-free process. Just taking this and then you can kind of take this file and put it alongside and just see it converting stuff just to ensure yourself that your sandy is retained. The one thing that I found was really good for helping you learn it was this JS to Coffee converter, where basically you type in JavaScript and you get CofeeScript out of it. So, for example, one thing that happened was I was like, man, I need to know. So in JavaScript, I know that I can create an array of objects. So something like var data equals open, close, say name, George, age 29, right? And so that's what this would look like in CofeeScript. But then I got really confused. Like, well, what about if I was going to add in another object, right? Claudio. Too old.
I saw that coming.
So I was like, so what I do is I just go here, I type that in, and here it shows me exactly what that would look like in CofeeScript. It's a really, really useful tool, and I'm dropping back to it every hour or so, and less now, as it just kind of when I run into something issue, I'm like, I don't think I can take a good guess at how to express this in CofeeScript. I just type it in here and it shows me. Really, really, really neat, really low friction thing. So, so that was one thing. Really encourage people to try it out because honestly, it's not even, there's not even a negative. Like for part of our one of the projects that I'm just starting on right now, we decided we're going to go ahead and try using CofeeScript. Another one, which is kind of our platform that we work on, we don't want to include CofeeScript quite yet. But what I'm doing is I'm just writing all my CofeeScript files, compiling them, and then committing the JavaScript because I know that the JavaScript is at least more vetted against errors than my stuff was. Oh, and there's some really, really awesome things in CofeeScript. Just to catch errors. Like I found out that the way that I was doing optional parameters wasn't quite right against all conditions, and because CofeeScript was converting it a little differently. They have some really neat things. One of the coolest ones is, that's not it. Although this is really neat too. Look at that, chain comparisons. One of the coolest ones is string interpolation. Holy God, that is so needed in JavaScript. It's so helpful.
Dude, I know. This week I was just like, how can this be a language when I can't even do string interpolation?
Well, you can. You can do string interpolation. It works great. Then the other one, where is it? It will take care of scoping. Yeah, I haven't looked through everything yet myself. So there are certain conditions in JavaScript. Basically, in JavaScript, the this keyword is always used to, well, here, let me just show it to you. The this keyword is always used to mean this current function that I'm in. What is it? But then you can redirect the this keyword to other stuff by using apply or call. So I could do something like, I could type something like this. Hi there. I'm okay, and at this point, this will equal the function say hello. Now, that is the case right up until I believe you do something like say hello dot call, and then you pass in some other object, right? Right. At which point, this is going to get all wonky because now this is going to apply to something else. Well, what CofeeScript, so there are ways to prevent that. I believe CofeeScript will let you do it like this. If you put a big hash arrow, notice it did a whole bunch of stuff with /bind and stuff like that, and I believe that the way that works is it will not let you redirect this. So basically, this will always refer to what you. So that's pretty cool. And here's one that all the Ruby guys will like too. So I can always do something like my obj equals, and I create it as a function, and then in there I'm going to say this dot some property equals. Okay, so I do that. Well, that's all well and good. Check this out. I can put, if I use at, that translates directly into this dot. So it's kind of got that same Ruby syntax where at means like, oh yeah, the scope that I'm in right now, attach a variable to it, attach a property to it. So that's really, really cool stuff. And going between this little console and JS2 Coffee, you can learn it really, really easily. Like it took me 5 minutes to get up and running. Okay, so one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and this was in a recent herding code. I was listening to this, and this guy's talking about a new framework he came out with called approval test. But it's not really so much a framework as it's an extension. It's an assertion extension to any testing framework you're using. And, you know, it's fairly rare that new concepts come around in testing, and I do feel like this was a new concept, so I really kind of like it. And basically what he does is adds an assertion mechanism called approval, which can do assertions as diffs between files. So you can diff PNGs, you can diff text using tortoise compare or something like that, or kdiff. And he's got, if you go to approval test, he's got a little video down here. Their blog talks about it. They have a very nice website, actually. They have a little video here showing how to do it. But the general idea is this: you have your test launch your website, and then you go ahead and check it visually and say, yeah, this looks good. And you run a little command line utility that says approve this, which will then go ahead and take either depending on how you have it configured, either the HTML, or it can even take a snapshot as a PNG of that site and store it. As your test runs in the future, once you've marked it as approved, it's just comparing the output to the thing that was saved with a difference finder. And if it's off, the test is going to fail and it'll alert you. So this is like a really kind of neat, like maybe like slightly in between tool between those like complete browser automation test benches and, you know, really heavy duty encode unit testing. I haven't tried it yet. I'm kind of interested. I don't even know if they are in NuGet or not. Let's try it. But I am very curious about it, and I think it could be a very interesting tool to add to the toolbox. So let's see. Oh, yeah, they're not in NuGet yet. So if anybody wants to try this out and get back to me, and by the way, this is for Java, C#, VB.NET, PHP, and Ruby. It exists in everything. So I am really interested. I'm going to go ahead and try to figure it out and see if I can get it running. And you know, we'll see. I'll report back next week, hopefully. Oh, there is a Visual Studio plugin. Cool. And then one other thing that I just saw recently, and it's another thing that that looks really, really cool, but I haven't had a chance to even figure out how to use. This is a little library called Oh You Poor Imperative Developers. And it's basically what happens when a Haskell programmer goes to C#. And so there's this, he created this class, which is mind-bending, but looks really, really cool. And then, so this is a whole library. There's not really any usages of it. He doesn't give you an example of what you can do with it, but I'm sure there's some really cool stuff that can do with it, because you look at it, he's doing all sorts of as parallel and just really neat stuff that I've heard of from functional programming. that I am certainly interested in taking a look at. And if anyone has any ideas about it, or he wants to take a look at it and let me know what exactly it's for, that would be awesome. Otherwise, I'll have to figure it out myself. It's called Prelude, and it's pretty neat. And I think that's it. I feel like I had a question I want to throw out there too, but I do not know what it is anymore. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I need to start looking into CofeeScript more. I got a book on it. No, I just have to read it.
Really?
Yeah.
I think there's a session card on it, so I might be sitting in on that one.
Right.
Did they start release? Well, I guess you knew already. Do you know if Michael's released the Houston Tech Fest list yet? Because I got an email from it like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. It was like, we're about to release the list of who's speaking.
Yeah, that was the last thing that I've heard. I haven't seen anything else. I'm looking up on the site now to see if there's anything there.
Yeah, they need to get.
Yeah, you can register for all the classes. They're there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's all updated.
Well, I wouldn't say they're all updated. There's still a lot of not available on the calendar, on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're done.
Okay. Take a look at it. Oh, and if anyone is around Baton Rouge or feeling like going to Baton Rouge, I believe I'll be talking about JavaScript or jQuery. They haven't decided yet. On next Wednesday. Up there.
Cool.
And on September 22nd in Memphis.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Oh yeah, and that's there's something else that's going on this week, which is the Lone Star Ruby Conference up in Austin, which started today. I think actually today they have like those 3-hour long, pre-conf session kind of thing. And then tomorrow and Saturday all day they have the regular sessions. And it's a paid event, but I'll be there. I know that JB is going to be there, and lots of people that we know like Rod and Ben, they're all going to be there. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Cool.
Yeah, it is a high-density content conference. I really enjoy it. When you look at it, it's sold out, and there's only 2 tracks, but, sometimes you go to conferences and there's so many tracks, and you're looking like, I'm not really sure what I want. Here, I can't be both places at the same time. How am I going to do this? So, it's really good. Ben's going to be giving a talk on Rails 3.1. Jesse's giving a talk about JavaScript, and then Matt Hagedorn is giving a talk on Vagrant. But there's lots of other stuff that's going to be awesome.
Nice. Yep. Be driving up there tomorrow morning, man. Not looking forward to the drive, though.
Where is this?
In Austin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a 3-hour drive, but hell,
Yeah,
I'm going to have to leave around 5 in the morning. I hate waking up early. But, oh well, I'll just crank some metal songs to keep me awake. Yeah, because if I put podcasts at that time of the day, I'm going to sleep. Cool. Awesome. All right, cool, guys. Well, heck, hey, JB, you're going to have to save the stuff you're going to share for next week, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
That's fine.
That's fine.
No worries. It can wait.
Excellent. All right, cool, guys. Well, thanks a lot, George, and everybody else for sharing and asking questions and making comments. And I'll see you guys all next week. Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.